Hey, welcome to Represent. I am Crunk Chocolate, part of Shades of Blues podcast content season, where we bring an episode every other day throughout the summer. You know, we just love cranking our feed up to 10 on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, all of those fantastic, delicious content platforms, streaming platforms. Represent is where we can relax a little. Off season means that there's no need for tribalism. Well, just not full tribalism. Maybe just a little like appetizer, little bits of tribalism. And I will be bringing on just most dope people to talk about how they fell in love with football and the clubs that they just support. If you're watching on YouTube, please like that video, hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment after the episode with your thoughts. For those who prefer the audio-only experience, rate and review us on your podcasting app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, all of those digital streaming platforms. Today, I have a wonderful guest for you. First-time guest here, Shady Gang, a citizen. So this is gonna be a fun, nice little chat. Don't have to worry about ducking and dodging any like jabs about 115 or anything like that. So this is gonna be good. I had his show, bro. Shout out to A&J podcast on earlier. He's not a citizen fan either. He's a Scouser, if you remember, but he came in handy. And Adam over here, he was just like, so when am I going to get an invite? And I was like, right now, fool, let's get this situated. So here we are. Here he is, Shady Gang. Give it up for Adam. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, so no, it's good to be here. Yeah, I did. I had a little moan, didn't I? I was only joking, though. I was winding him.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a joy to have you on, of course. Didn't mean to do that. I don't mind bringing people on, but sometimes I've done that where I've asked one person on and then I asked another person on, and sometimes it get a little weird or whatever. And I'm happy you did even jokingly say something, because I never want to make a citizen feel like they're being left behind. That's not what we do here at Shades of Blue.
For some context with what you're saying, it wasn't like I kicked off or anything like that. I just mentioned it on our podcast, and I was winding there.
Yes. Yes. No, naturally. In Shades of Blue, our listeners, Shady Gang, they know that I am a rebel rouser. I'm a goofy one. I love to give people shit for things that they haven't done anyway. But let's start the show off with letting listeners, viewers know a little bit more about you, Adam. Let us know a bit about yourself and plug the show, A&J Podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm a Man City fan. The show that we do it's basically me and Johnny. Johnny's actually my brother-in-law, and we get together once a week and we just talk crap. We talk shit, basically. We talk a bit of football. We could talk anything it goes from football to ghost stories to anything that's going on in the world. We like anything weird on our podcast. That's the sort of things that we like to talk about. Any weird stories that are going on. And we have a bit of fun each week. We have a laugh. We wind each other up. Sometimes we can get a bit angry with each other, and
I mean, doing it with an in-law is impressive because it's one of those things. It's good. It's a blessing because everyone hopes to connect with an in-law positively, whereas a lot of people might not get along with an in-law.
We get on. But when it comes to the nitty-gritty of talking about football, sometimes we can disagree. But for the most part, we do get on. Yeah.
Yes. Of course. You get on enough to do a podcast together.
He always blindsides me though, because he'll bring something up that I'm not expecting him to talk about, and then he gets me every time. So he knows what he's doing. But yeah.
Hey, that's good. Okay, well let's let's start here, shall we? With an overrated and underrated thing about football. We will start with overrated. So, what do you feel like is overrated about football? It can be about the sport, it can be about culture, fandom, a rule, anything. What do you got, Adam?
So the main thing I think is overrated in football is games between big clubs. I find whenever two big clubs come together, 9 times out of 10, the game will be shit because they'll just both be negative. There'll be, you know what I mean? It's all hyped up all week. Say it's the Classico,
Yes.
and it's like Barca against Madrid, and everyone's looking forward to it. And it comes to it, and it's just terrible most of the time. I find because it's just not what everyone's expecting. You know, it's the same. I find it's the same with like boxing and stuff like that. Like anything that's built up to be something big, it never usually is. You know, so I feel like sometimes like the better games is ones like I don't know, like it can be like Fulham against Crystal Palace or something like that, and I find them that's
Yes.
sort of
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I find them games quite a lot of the time surprise you. You know, so that's the main thing for me. What I think's overrated. An easy one, VAR. I think VAR is the most overrated thing in the world, and I think a lot of it is for match going fans, like people who go to the games a lot. It just kills the vibe, you know. So I think for me, those two things are the most overrated things in football: big games and VAR.
And I'm with you with the whole big games part because a perfect example is City versus Arsenal. That match was pushed up to be this huge match. And what does Arsenal do? They came to the Etihad and played for a draw. That match I was pissed off. I was frustrated at the fact that Arsenal came to us and their fans, their supporters as a base, because I did a couple of panel shows, which I don't normally do, but I was feeling fun. And all of these Arsenal fans on in the panel shows, on social media, they're adding us, talking all this crap about how they're about to come to the Etihad and do all this work. They came and played for a
Yeah.
draw. And then immediately after, they're like, oh, of course we played for a draw. We couldn't come to the Etihad and play against you guys and ended up losing. We have to play smart. It was just amazing how
But
that mentality
yeah,
flipped.
and ultimately they lost anyway. So you see, this is the
Yeah.
sort of thing I love attacking football. Like I love like don't get me wrong. Roberto Mancini was fantastic and he was really good for us in the beginning, but I could not stand watching the actual football for the majority of his time there. Like it was just so boring, you know. And yeah, and for me, like I say, and two big teams coming against each other all the time, it tends to be quite negative. And what you just said there is a perfect example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and VAR, obviously, let's get this out of here. I love the way that Wolves, who are trying to get VAR out of here, and the angle that they went at it was brilliant because it was exactly what you said, Adam. VAR is horrendous when it comes to the match going experience. Everything that you brought it in to do, it just adds more questions. It in the way that the Wolves have phrased it, basically by having VAR, you have ruined the integrity of your own sport so much that people are now starting to not trust you. So it's not that VAR sucks, which it does, and that it's making it hard for teams like Wolves. It's hey, you should look at your own bottom line. You should look at your own quality. You should like look at it. It's making you look bad, and all of those things are true. But when it comes to something like that, and especially with the English FA, they show that they don't really like backing down, and they don't really like being looking wrong or incorrect or made the wrong decision. So by putting it on them, now you're making them go, oh yeah, maybe we are looking silly with this VAR. So I mean, I'm with you 100% with we need to get VAR out of here because I miss the good old days where it was just kind of those decisions. Yeah, sure, maybe we weren't sure if they were onside or not, but the decision was made, and we were able to rely on a person who we know humans make mistakes, and it was just easier to take those mistakes from a human than in a robot that technically isn't a robot. It's just a human putting lines on a camera screen.
Yeah, like I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sort of for it, but I just feel like it's overused. I feel like it's just used for too many scenarios, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so like you say, it's not a human making the decisions anymore. They're just there as a sort of enforcer on the pitch to give yellow cards out because when they
Mm-hmm.
give a red card, it gets scrutinised anyway. So they're not making that decision. They're just making an initial decision to send it to a robot to make a decision, and then again, it's not actually sometimes, like you say, you can have two identical scenarios, and they could go to VAR on separate days, and it can be a
Mm-hmm.
total different decision being made because, and that's where it clearly shows that it isn't working for me because it's really inconsistent. It's just so inconsistent and it's overused. For, for me, the only thing that we should use it for is goal line technology, and that's not even
Yes.
VAR because that was there before. So I'd have goal line
Mm-hmm.
technology, and I would have it, but I'd use it in an absolutely exceptional circumstances, like someone I don't know physically assaulting someone off the ball. You know what I mean? The referee's not picked up, or like a 3 yard offside, or something like that. It's like I say, it's just used too much for me, and I'd rather
Okay, how about this?
yeah
Oh, I was gonna say, how about this with in NBA? They have coach challenges
yeah
where you have to actually, or NFL does it too, where you have to actually be like, "Hey, yo, stop things! I want to look at this." What is? What about that? What if they gave like two VAR
yeah
looks, and then the manager has to like throw a red flag out and basically be like, "Look at that. Obviously, the play will continue. Nothing will happen. You'll say something to the fourth judge."
yeah
and then VAR will look into it and play can continue. What's your thoughts on that? Maybe.
yeah. I've said that. I was saying that to some of my friends like a couple of
Okay.
weeks ago. I was saying like some people were saying, "Oh no, that's just silly," but for me, that would be the perfect solution because. But I wouldn't. Oh, again, I'd only maybe limit that to maximum two per game
Yeah. Hmm.
because otherwise, then the managers would just be stopping the game every 5 minutes, and nobody wants that.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
no people
Yeah.
at the stadium and people watching it on TV don't want that. But yeah, I think two per
Hmm.
game, maybe, or one per half, and then just limit it to that, and then a VAR can intervene, but only where it's an absolute abysmal, decision that's not been picked up on the pitch. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It should be one of them things. It should be one of them things that we don't even really think about or don't see much. It's just like I say, it's ruining it for me, especially going to the matches because
Yeah.
Tottenham a few years ago was the prime example, and that's when I realised that this thing just wasn't working because we were celebrating like we'd gone through to the semi final of the Champions League, and it just ruined everyone.
Uh,
Yeah, it was bad. Worst.
that
That's
was
one of my worst.
horrendous.
Yeah, that's probably one of the worst
Yeah.
experiences I've ever had in football. Yeah, and as well,
I'm with you.
what annoyed me with that as well was Aguero was running back on side. He was literally coming back on side, and he wasn't even interfering in the play. But yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, no, that was my brain still like shuts that match out. I
Yeah,
have to remember, even though like I remember like Leon and Monaco, those ones were so painful. But I mean, we got some pretty good players out of that situation. But we'll keep it moving to what made you fall in love with football.
um, I sort of came into following football I wouldn't say late, but I was probably about, well, it was Euro 96 and I was born in 87. So you can do the maths.
Okay.
So Euro 96 is the
Yeah.
first time I remember watching football and really like enjoying it and actually sitting down and watching a game. Like, yeah, I don't know if you remember Euro 96. And remember,
I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I wasn't tapped into football at that level at that time.
Yeah. Well, it was the time when like we had Paul Gascoigne and players like that playing for England, and I think what did it for me was when we played Scotland, and I don't know if you might have seen the goal because it's been replayed a lot, where he sort of he takes a touch and kicks the ball over the centre back's head and then volleys it into the net. And yeah, for me, that's the sort of time when I first really started showing an interest in football and started wanting to play it. And because I never played at a high level, but I always played football from that point. You know, I always played for a team or school or anything like that. And that's, yeah, for me, that's the tournament that I remember. That, and then again, 2 years later, even more so with World Cup 98, France 98. That was another one. When Beckham when he kicked Simeone, and Simeone threw himself to the floor like he'd been shot, and everyone wanted to kill Beckham, and everyone. But yeah, so that was a good one. I remember my mum. Like every time we was watching England, she doesn't really follow football, but for that tournament, she was watching it. And literally, the Argentina game, every time they got the ball, she'd run out the room. Literally, every time they got the ball, she'd run out the room, and then she'd run back in when we got the ball. And then, but yeah, it was, yeah, that was it was.
Oh, I love it.
And that was like R9. That was when he had the. Oh no, it wasn't. I was going to say that's when he had the haircut, but that was 4 years later, at 2002. So. But yeah, I remember that one quite well. It was quite good. It was a good tournament. Yeah.
Do you have a origin story for how you chose the club you support? Like, how did you become a Man City fan?
Yeah, so I mean, none of my family are City fans. Not one of them are City fans. My dad's from Scotland, so he moved down to Manchester. So he supported Rangers and St Mirren. I don't know if you've heard of St Mirren.
Yep.
He supported both of those because he sort of played for Rangers at reserve level and youth team level, so he sort of followed them as well as his own team. But yeah, and then when he came down to England, he was mainly following Man United. But I sort of, like I say, until roundabout, it was 98, I'd say, when I really got into football. And the first time I remember really watching Man City was, do you remember? I don't know. Like again, you probably won't remember it because it's so long ago. But the playoff final when we beat Gillingham to get promoted from League One, the old Division 2.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with it.
That was the game. That was the game that made me think this is my club and this is who I want to support. And then, like 3 weeks later, Man United went and did the treble or something like that. I was like, "Oh, have I made the right choice?" But I made the choice. I'd already said that was when I first actually said, "This is my team. This is who I want to support."
I love that.
Yeah, and then from then on, I started like, well, I didn't have anyone to take me to the games because my dad was a United fan, he sort of supported United, typical United fan. So I didn't start going to the games until about 2 or 3 years later, and then I went with my mate and his dad, and then after that, then I started like getting tickets on my own and stuff, and yeah,
let's go.
Yeah,
I love that. All right, well, who is your all-time favorite player from Manchester City and why?
Easy one. I was going to go for an older one, but I can't. It's got to be Sergio Aguero. Sergio Aguero for obvious reasons. From his debut against Swansea when he rifled that one in the back of the net, and from about 30 yards out, and right up until the goal, 93-20, he's just provided amazing moments. And even when he hit that Panenka against Chelsea, and like, well, when he could have, I don't know if it was an equaliser he would have got, or he would have won us the game. Even then, he's Sergio. You know what I mean? Is what it is. Like, he's the type of guy who gives his cars away to people for free. You know what I mean? He's a top guy.
Right.
He's a top guy and a top player. And for me, he's the most influential player that we've ever had. Him and company alongside each other, but I think Aguero just edges it for me.
Different gravy.
Yeah. He just had that special something, didn't he? And I mean, even like I think a lot of players have said that Aguero was the toughest striker they've ever faced.
Yes, a lot of
players.
John
Terry said it. I think John Terry was one of the guys who said it. He was just a different sort of striker. He was great, and it was sad to see him leave how he did and how it went on, at Barcelona, and him getting, with his heart condition and stuff. It's a shame that he had to finish like that, because from what I heard, he wanted to go back to Argentina and finish his career there, and it's sad that he never really got to do that. But yeah, for me, Sergio will always be number one.
Agreed. Who is a current player that you want to watch anytime they're playing? This player can be on any team in any league.
Yeah, so I struggled with this one because I don't really watch much other football than City.
Okay.
Well, if it wasn't City, it'd probably be Messi. Just because of for easy reasons, you know what I mean. He's the best player that there's ever been. He can do things with a football that nobody else ever can and could. So for me, it's Messi. If I was talking about a City player, the first one I look on the team sheet for is Kevin De Bruyne, because again, I feel like he can do things with a football again that no one else can do. He can create things out of nothing. Not similar in the way that he plays, but the way David Silva used to do it. David Silva used to just find, you know what I mean? He used to create goal scoring opportunities from nowhere. And De Bruyne does the same in a different way. But yeah, he's phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, since you mentioned Messi, let's talk about Stockport Iniesta a little bit. Phil Foden. I mean, obviously it'll be hard to hit the like I guess popular levels like stardom that Messi hit, because just Messi is global and stuff like that, and England is, it's England. But do you see Foden, because he's on the precipice when it comes to like trophies and everything, he could hit the heights skill wise of Messi? What are your thoughts?
I think it's possible. I don't see why not, because I mean, he's got the talent there, and it's clear to see. And I think if Messi was in that, if Foden was in that Barcelona team, I think he wouldn't look out of place. Do you know what I mean? And I think if he was playing in La Liga, I think he'd be scoring. I think he'd be doing the numbers or up there a similar amount to what Ronaldo and Messi was doing. I think Foden's got the most potential out of any player that I've ever seen in a Man City shirt, and he seems to have his head screwed on. He seems to, you know what I mean. You never really hear much about him, you know what I mean, causing trouble outside of football or anything like that. I mean, there was one or two things when he was a bit younger, but yeah, I think Foden's phenomenal. Yes. He's come on so much, and I'm really pleased for him, and I'm pleased for Pep, because it sort of justified the way that he's dealt with his career. When he was getting stick for not playing him as much, and he didn't send him out on loan. People saying he should have gone out on loan. But yeah, for me, if he can keep going the way he is, then I can see him doing those numbers, especially if he was to move, God forbid. You know what I mean? Right. If he was to, hopefully not. Hopefully we never get to see. But I think he could easily do 30 odd goals a season in La Liga or any other league.
Yeah.
It's just the Premier League's a different animal for me. So.
1,000%. Well, do you have a match day routine or a football superstition that you wish to share with us?
No, not really. No, like I don't have I can't even get my words out there. A superstition. I don't ever really have a superstition or anything like that. I like to get there early when I go to the game. I like to get there. I
Mm.
never like getting there last minute. So I like to get there about at least a couple of hours early, get a couple of beers in, have a little walk, take in the atmosphere and stuff. And I tend to go with my little boy now, so
I love
yeah.
that.
So I'm not going there, you know what I mean? I don't go in the singing section or anything like that. I tend to sit in the family stand with him, or and but yeah, that's basically it. I like to get there early. So I even like watching like the warm ups and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically it for me. It's simple.
Hey, nothing wrong.
Yeah.
It's part of the question, you know? All right. So we will end the show with this final question. It's a little fun. It is the elevator pitch for your club. I will give the premise. You are in an elevator, someone pops in, they go, "Oh, I know you do. You're A from A&J podcast. I have been trying to figure out what team I need to like and root for in the Premier League are really in the world. But I know you're a City fan. How or what is the reason why I should follow them?" And so you have 30 seconds to let this random person know why they should be following and supporting Manchester City. And your time will start now.
Right. For me, I think anyone who wants to support City should wipe out the last 10, 15 years. And I think what they should do is go back, look at all our history that we actually do have, because we do have history. We've got a lot of history, from back to Bert Troutman breaking his neck and stuff like that. And then you've got the playoff final where we got promoted and Paul Dickoff scored. There's a lot of propaganda about City, and City fans have the best sense of humour in the whole world. We don't take life too seriously. We can have a laugh. We're not like any other fans. We can laugh at ourselves, and we have a lot of fun doing it along the way. And the future's promising.
Yes, it is, sir. Oh, well, that's just me. There we go. Hey, that was a very good one. Talk about the history. So many people don't talk about the history. It's really easy to become a City fan because obviously the greatness that is now. But I actually became a City fan in my full-fledged fandom where I was watching and keeping track of things. That was about 2007, 8. But 2002 was when I was flipping through FIFA 1 with a friend, and I came across a team in the second division named Manchester City. They had a super cool crest. I loved the color sky blue, and I wasn't huge into soccer at that time, but I knew I did not like Manchester United because they were always the team on any sort of TV show, radio, anything soccer based that would pop on TV. Manchester United was that team. So I just knew I didn't like them. So once I saw that stuff about City, it was all love. It was just like, all right, all in. So to be where we are now is amazing. This is literally what I dreamed of when I first became a City fan was, hey, one day we're going to be better than that stupid other team and we're going to take over the world. And here we are, the best team in the land in all the world.
That's the thing. And we don't claim to have the most supporters in the world.
Shady Gang,
we don't claim
one more time. Oh, sorry. No, go for it.
Oh, it's all right. I was just saying, we don't claim to have the most supporters in the world, like everyone seems to think is the best, the most important stat these days. But we do have, like I say, we have fans who can have a laugh, and we do. We have a laugh, and we enjoy it, and we are what we are.
Hell yeah. Let's go. And to all those people who always want to hate on us, do one.
No one cares.
Right? Yes. At all. It's Shady Gang. Please, one more time, give it up for Adam. Let viewers plug yourself, plug the podcast, let people know where they can find you and follow you on social media and on digital streaming platforms.
Yeah, so the podcast is on most streaming platforms. So you got Spotify, Apple, Amazon. It's the A&J podcast. And you can also find us on X at the A&J pod. And the same with TikTok, DA and JPod. And like I say,
Hey.
come along, we have a laugh. It's not too serious, and you can just hear us winding each other up each week.
Oh, I love it. Well, Shady Gang, I will be back very soon with a new episode, with a new guest, talking football. And until then, you know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.